For my senior project, I thought it would be interesting to delve deeper into one of my favorite hobbies, which is making embroidery floss bracelets. Before having started this project, I hadn't made any intricate bracelets, only basic patterns that I could complete in one or two sittings, pretty thin bracelets. So, going into my senior experience or my senior project, I wanted to challenge myself and not only try to complete multiple bracelets, but have these bracelets vary in difficulty and style. Pictured in the background here is embroidery floss, which is a multi-purpose thread that can be used to make bracelets, as I did, or it can also be used to embroider clothes or fabrics. My goals for this project were to, as mentioned before, complete several bracelets of varying patterns and styles. There are two styles of bracelet making, and they are known as alpha and regular patterns. Alpha style bracelets are those in which you have base strings, which will not show up in the final product and therefore can be any color. This is pictured in the bottom right, where one can see the white strings are base strings, and there is only one colored string, which is what shows. On the other hand, regular style bracelets utilize all strings in making the pattern, therefore all colors must correspond with the pattern because they will show in the final product. This is pictured in the bottom left, where one can see all of the strings show up once completed. My first goal in this project was to make at least one bracelet of each style. In the end, I completed one regular style bracelet and 3 alpha bracelets. I wanted to try both in the hopes that I would become more dexterous and nimble fingered. Other goals were to increase the speed of my bracelet making without having to sacrifice or compromise the quality of the bracelet. Along with this, I wanted to improve the quality of the knots that I created in bracelet making, which entails going back and removing any mistakes made before proceeding. I also made myself the goal to create my own design and bracelet following that design. I wasn't sure if I would have time to complete that goal, but I figured it'd be another way to express my creativity, so I established that at the beginning. My first bracelet was actually the most intricate one out of all the ones I decided to make. It was kind of a SpongeBob inspired alpha bracelet with alternating background colors and details. The pattern is shown on the left. Essentially, when creating an alpha bracelet, you are making individual knots for each color, which is different from regular bracelet making where everything is connected. The base strings were an off-white color, which you can see on the right. They're coming out from the top and the bottom of the finished product. I didn't face too many problems with this one besides the fact that I had to use different brands of string. In doing this, each string was a different thickness and the knots were a little bit uneven. And it might be a little hard to see in the image, but the first color I used, which is kind of like a turquoise color, is a higher quality brand than the rest of the colors that I used, so the knots ended up being smaller at the top where the higher quality string is, and then at the bottom, which is where the string was a bit thicker. And unfortunately, there isn't really a way to overcome this, so I tried my best to tie the knots at the top a bit looser so they could kind of compensate for the thickness of the strands and be slightly larger and more consistent with the other strings. But all in all, I like the challenge of making this bracelet. It took me around 5 days to make, which is the longest time it's ever taken me to finish. And as I looked ahead to my next bracelet, I wanted to improve the consistency of my bracelet making and speed up the process a little bit so I could complete more. My next bracelet was inspired by one of my favorite stores, which is IKEA. It was the thickest bracelet I had ever had to make, although the pattern wasn't too difficult. I was proud of how neat my work was, and this bracelet certainly taught me the importance of patience. Halfway through, I started to pick up the pace and was happy with my progress. It was not only the widest bracelet I had ever made, but it was also the longest bracelet. In order for me to complete the pattern, I had to make it longer than the length around my wrist. The problem I faced in making this bracelet is the amount of string I had to work with. I didn't anticipate running out of the blue string and wanted to make sure that the color stayed the same throughout the entirety of the bracelet. So after watching a video on YouTube on how to incorporate another string into the bracelet, I was able to successfully add another blue string of the same color. This bracelet was another alpha bracelet and it took me around 4 days to make. For my third bracelet, I moved on to creating a regular style bracelet. The pattern I made was a pattern I had found years ago. I printed it out and had kept it in my room, and I didn't end up making it at the time I printed it out because it was too difficult. so I actually couldn't find a photo of the pattern online. But it's pictured on my wrist here, and it's a great length. I love how it turned out. As mentioned before, the difference between making an alpha bracelet and a regular bracelet is that there are no base strings in a regular bracelet. All the strings are shown in the final product, therefore they almost correspond with the colors shown in the pattern. The problem I faced in making this bracelet was adjusting back to making regular style bracelets. It's a little bit different from alpha bracelets, and that you use all of the strings to create the knots. And in order for me to effectively adjust and make little to no mistakes, I had to go at a little bit of a slower pace. And regular style bracelets usually don't take as long as alpha bracelets. It can all depend on the pattern you choose, but this bracelet took me around 3 days to make, so it took me less than it did for me to complete my second bracelet, but I would have liked to have created this one a little bit faster. Lastly, I decided to create a pattern of my own. I ended up having enough time, so I designed a bracelet with the name of the college I will be attending on it. It took me less than 20 minutes to create the pattern. I did this online. There's a website specifically designed for it. However, it was kind of difficult to create some of the rounded edges in letters like R. There isn't really a way around this problem, but I ended up paying closer attention to the sizes of the knots to make it as straight and consistent as possible, and I'm happy with the results. It's another alpha style bracelet, which ended up being my favorite style of bracelet due to the larger variety of patterns available online. You can also make your own like I did here and be really creative with it. And I loved making this bracelet and can't wait to wear it in the future. And it took me around 2 days to complete just because I had so much fun making it. After finishing my project, I was pleased with the results. I feel as though my fingers are more nimble, and throughout the project, my bracelet making skills got faster and the quality of knots improved. I learned more about flexibility and how with patience comes great reward. I loved this project because I was able to express my own sense of creativity and challenge myself in reaching all of the goals I established before starting my bracelet making journey. I completed 3 alpha bracelets and 1 regular bracelet using 1 self-designed pattern. I was also able to increase the speed and quality of my bracelet making skills, as mentioned before. And I'm excited to make more throughout the summer, and I'm grateful for this novel learning experience.